everybody, it's Safi and Marco dish out on the movies. It's late on a, what night are we on? Tuesday night.
It didn't have to be late, Safi. You know, it's funny because last night I purposefully had us do the Penguin review late at night so that we could upload it early in the morning and then watch the next movie early and get it done early on in the day. But Safi decided to wait until like 8 o'clock at night to start the new movie. So we are reviewing Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2.
And I did like the movie. I thought it was really scary.
Really?
I thought it was a lot scarier than the first one.
Yeah, I will say...
There's a lot more scares than the first one.
The first one is good on its own. Is like a one-off slasher movie.
Right.
It's not the greatest, but this movie is so much better. It's almost like night and day, because this movie gives you everything you could want in a horror movie. It's got everything.
Yes, and
everything.
It really, in the end,
it's a horror movie.
It's a
for
problem.
Sure.
It's a problem, and you think, I mean, we're like almost at the very end, and probably within 5 minutes of it ending, and you think that somebody got away and it was going to be okay, but then
the twist ending, the thing with that is, and you know, we'll get into the movie as Safi's like scratching her AIDS. Is that the twist ending was like ripping off Nightmare on Elm Street, which this movie, one of the things about it, before we get into the plot, is that I felt like the person who made this movie should have done a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I went on their IMDb and I saw he did the Friday the 13th TV series, which is notoriously bad. I've never seen it. I don't know what it's about. But he did that, and it's surprising because this movie was like a Nightmare on Elm Street meets Carrie. It definitely felt like those two movies mixed together.
Yeah.
And but in a good way, to where like this movie said, you know what? Screw the realism. Screw the boring. I mean, see, one of the things that I hate about horror movies now is that 90% of the movie is like a Lifetime movie. You know, like the Prom Night, you know, 90% of that movie is just a Lifetime movie about going to prom. 10% of it is the killing and the murder stuff going on. Well, this movie is all about the horror stuff going on. There's no Lifetime drama bullshit, and if there is, it's played off. Like it's little tiny chunks here and there. Like there's this character, she's the first person to get killed off, and she's having a problem. First, she had to go to a doctor's appointment, and then this guy that she likes won't call her back, and she's having a fit in the bathroom. She's crying in the bathroom, which was hilarious because. You know, Safi, I think
typical.
Well, I think Safi remembers that story I told where the girl took the other girl into the bathroom because she was crying and so that's what I thought of. But there's little tiny chunks like that. And by the way, it was another mean-spirited thing to where it was like, oh, this person who's going through this horrible stuff, she's the first person to get killed. And I really, really like that because nowadays... They would never do anything like that. In fact, they would never do anything of what they did in this movie nowadays. And so that's the first that's the first thing that I would like to talk about, is that this movie needs to be studied versus Joker 2. Because both of these sequels, everybody said we didn't need them. Like, who wanted a Prom Night 2? Who asked for a Prom Night 2? The first movie, it ended, the story's over. Joker needed a part 2, in my opinion, but, you know, who
Just
asked...
not that one.
Who asked for a part 2? No one.
Yeah.
But they made it anyway, and you look at the quality difference here, just because you're forced to make a sequel you don't want to make doesn't give you an excuse to make a piece of shit. And it doesn't mean that you make it as a giant fuck you to the audience. Prom Night 2 is a perfect horror movie, probably one of the best horror movies of the 80s that I've ever seen, and they didn't even have to make this movie, but they did, and they made it good. That's what you do. That's what's making movies.
Well, I think the thing about Prom Night is there are proms all over the country, all different areas, regions, different ethnic groups, different origins of people, the country, the city, the suburbs. And so you have so much fodder for writing that it's and the person, whoever did it, was very clever because they could pick up this stuff and make it a horror movie.
And this movie felt a lot more identifiable too. You know, like how with the first movie I was saying, like, did that remind you of Prom? This movie felt a lot more like what it would actually be. It felt a lot more realistic in a way. Like, it felt a lot more universal to where, like, I think one of the sad things about the movie, and this might be jumping the gun, is they had this popular bitch named Kelly, and she was supposed to be prom queen after she gave the, I don't know what you call that guy, the nerdy character. She gave him a sexual favor in exchange for becoming the prom queen.
Yeah.
And I felt it was unfortunate because she looked a lot better. She had a better dress. It was this really nice red dress, and her hair looked a lot better too. And that's another thing. This movie's stylish. It's 80s. It's 1980s stylish. The music is good.
Well, that's because it was actual music at the time.
Yeah, they have horror music too. The whole movie. They don't have this awful prom night, prom night, prom night.
And like I said, that other music, although it was disco beat, it was fake. I mean, I'd never heard any of that before.
And let's talk about, I guess there's so much to talk about, but let's talk about Mary Lou. I mean, wow, that's a good female villain.
Yeah.
That's a good female character.
Well, because I was surprised that she didn't pick that popular girl to come infest.
But she's gross.
Well, they're a lot more alike. I don't know, and their temperament and.
But Mary Lou was rebellious, and so it would be more in character for her to pick the final girl type of girl and Vicky to force her to become like her. And that's another thing that I loved about the movie. The final girl in this movie, she's a great final girl because she actually becomes the final bad guy almost at the end. And so there's like a Nightmare on Elm Street 2 thing going on to where she gets possessed. I love that. I thought that was great.
I didn't know if she was going to make it. I thought she was going to be dead.
Yeah, Safi thought she was going to die because she's the final girl.
They had an alien thing with her.
An alien
where
thing. They also did that in Nightmare on Elm Street too.
Well, because of that, I thought she was going to be dead. I was so surprised that she came out. She was in that case, and she had goo all over her face, like in Poltergeist. You know? Remember that?
No.
Well, when the
I don't want to think about Poltergeist, Safi.
Well, when the little girl gets caught up in the netherworld, and they manage to pull her out of it, she's all covered in goo, and that girl was all covered in goo. You
know what this movie really reminds me of too? It really reminds me of Sleepaway Camp 2 versus Sleepaway Camp 1. Because Sleepaway Camp 1, Sleepaway Camp was a much better movie than Prom Night, but that was a serious movie. It was played serious. It was a straight-up horror movie. And the second one, they have a lot more fun with it. There's a lot more comedy. There's a lot more like just unrealistic, just over the top elements. And there's some really creative kills in this movie too. I think that my favorite kill was that first kill with the SAG girl, because at first Mary Lou really wanted to use what I thought would be a really painful death with that
oh god, the paper cutter.
That paper cutter, because I remembered using that in printmaking class in high school.
Are dangerous.
And I was like, oh god, like that would have been really hardcore. But she was like, oh no, I can't do that because I gotta make this look like a suicide. So then she had to just hang her, and it was like, I thought that was really cool. Like, the villain's like, oh no, I can't kill her this way, even though I really want to. I'm gonna have to switch it up and just hang her. Like, I thought that was awesome. I think that Safi's favorite part of the movie was obviously the shower scene.
Oh god.
There was this part where the final girl, this isn't like those other horror movies where the final girl is boring and she never takes her clothes off. This is this is a different type of final girl. She's called a good final girl, right, Safi? Because she gets completely naked, and this is when she's possessed by Mary Lou. She comes on to this other girl who's messing with her the whole day, and then she kills her by she's hiding in a locker and shoves the lockers together. That was awesome. This movie was awesome.
Well, that really surprised me because that girl was kind of like the girl's best friend. And I was surprised she went after her. But I mean, she wasn't her. She was Mary Lou. In other words, Mary Lou had invaded her body. But I don't know. Usually it doesn't, I don't think it happens like that. But they didn't waste any. They didn't have any qualms.
Did you like that whole sequence, Safi? I know that's your favorite part of the movie.
Oh, Marco, shut up.
I know it is.
Oh, would you stop already? Stop. Anyway, let's just keep moving on.
But it's really good to study this movie versus Joker 2, right, Safi? Like
Joker 2 is like I said, it's a circling the drain movie.
This movie gives the fans what they want. Joker 2 didn't give anyone what they wanted. So, and so what else should we talk about? Oh, yeah. Another funny thing that I should mention is that there was one of the main guys, because how this movie starts is they have this incident that happens in the past. There's
in the
1950s prom. I thought that was fun. In fact, I would say it would be cool if they made a prom night movie in different decades. To see different.
That's what I say. They have so much fodder all over the country. Different, and I didn't even think about that. Different time periods, decades, different music.
Yeah.
Everything.
Different characters, all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
But they had this prom, and there was this guy, and he's already balding at age like 17, and you know that he's going to have a hard time with the and he took Mary Lou there. Mary Lou is this slut. She's a hardcore slut. She's basically like the 1950s equivalent of a
pass around pack.
Yeah, like you know those types nowadays. So they all have children and they're single mothers and they're on dating apps and they're like, nobody's good enough for me. That's what she's basically is, but before that part of her life.
Well, she goes to confession, and she tells the priest that she's had sex with tons of boys.
And she also writes her number in the confessional, and this character, she's really unlikable. I mean, she's a really good actress too, because she did a great job at playing that character.
Yeah,
perfectly cast for the role, but she gets with this other guy who's like the more conventional popular guy, and then she says the line from the first movie, which is, it doesn't matter who you take to prom, it matters who you go home with. And the bald guy's pissed off, and then what happens, Safi? He conspires with these other guys to screw up the prom announcement, just like in the first movie, and it
No,
backfires.
I don't think he conspired with anybody.
Oh, okay, so
These
he was
other
just
guys
watching.
Had these smoke bombs,
Yeah.
and they were going to do something with them, and then because they had to do something, one of them threw one in the trash.
Yeah, that's what.
The trash in the bathroom, and that guy was in there, and so he was very upset at that girl, and he picked it out of the trash. He thought, I'm going to get her. Meaning because it wasn't a smoke bomb, it was a stink bomb. But you had to light it like a firework, and then like a smoke bomb, the stuff comes out, But the thing is, it had a wick, and so when you lit it, it would be lit for it was like a 1 inch to 2 inch wick, and so he dropped it down from above just as they were. Well, no, did they already announce that she got it?
Well, I forgot because that was only like a 5-minute thing at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it didn't.
But she gets set. She gets set on fire.
Her dress gets caught on fire, and then
it's a tragic event. But honestly, she had it coming.
Well, she died.
This wasn't like in the first movie where the kids just randomly chased this other girl out the window. Like this was a girl who had it coming. She really deserved what she got.
Nobody deserves anything like that. Don't say that.
Safi, she was a bitch. And her actions the rest of the movie proved that she deserved what she got.
Well, she was like
she killed a bunch of innocent people for no reason.
She was like what do you call it? A demon. She was like a demon.
Yeah. And so then what happens is she comes back first through visions and hallucinations and is I guess a ghost, and then she possesses the final girl, Vicky, and that's the movie. And again, this is one of the best horror movies that I've seen. It was perfect. It's surprising that no one talks about this. Like,
I know, I've never seen any of them.
It has a 5 out of 10 on IMDb.
Really?
Which is really, really bizarre. It's just like, you can't take these ratings and reviews seriously anymore when you see things like that. Like, Prom Night 2 has a 5.8 out of 10, but then, like...
Really?
Another movie that's bad will have, like, a higher score. So, like, yeah, I don't know why.
What did the Joker 2 get?
Oh, that has a 5.3 right now.
Well, it's not... This movie is 1,000 times better than that.
Yeah, I was almost tempted to just make a video called Prom Night 2 versus Joker 2. Because every single element of this movie is amazing. And it's a perfect case study of, they have this thing now, well, we didn't want a sequel, it wasn't necessary. We didn't even need it. And it's like, that's not an excuse that it's bad. Like, we didn't need Prom Night 2 either. And it's amazing. Right, Safi? I mean, what else did you like about the movie? Talk about... I forgot. The bald guy, there was for like 50 minutes of the movie, I was like, that guy really looks like Michael Ironside.
It was Michael Ironside.
Well, and then I saw the cast, and I was like, oh, that's Michael Ironside. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So that was funny.
That guy was in a lot of stuff.
Well, I didn't know that, because there's just these actors, and you think, like, that guy was in Prom Night too? Like, his character, too. He ends up almost becoming the hero at the end of the movie in a bizarre way. We'll talk about what happens with that.
But he wasn't even really in it much until that last segment.
It was so bizarre, though. They were like, we're not going to have the pretty boy teenager save the day. We're going to have this bald guy, Michael Ironside, come in and save the day. And he shoots Vicky. Vicky's on stage and she's gotten the prom queen thing, the crown, and then he shoots her. Like, what a horrible, horrible thing.
And his son was her boyfriend.
Yeah, another thing is that the boyfriend wanted to find her, and the dad, he's like, okay, son. And I was like, that was really unrealistic. For a minute there, he just said, no, absolutely not. And then he just changed his mind. But no, the dad picks up his shoe, like he's gonna give it to him, and then he knocks him out with it so that he can go shoot his girlfriend at the prom.
And that's the thing, I didn't know. I didn't think she was going to survive.
Yeah.
And then they have this thing where Betty Lou or whatever
Mary
Lou pops out of her chest like it's alien.
That was cool.
But she didn't just pop out as a little figure. Her whole body popped out of her body. So I'm like,
it was like Nightmare on Elm Street too.
And it like, well, in Alien, you know, when all those things, those events happened, the host would die. So I thought she was going to be dead.
That did not happen. In Nightmare on Elm Street too. Actually, that happened in Nightmare on Elm Street too. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember. But this one, I mean, and so you think, and she shows up when all is said and done, and I'm not even sure how did they get. He gave
Mary Lou the crown,
and she had her, you know, she was all brown and burned as if, you know, she had just been burned alive at that prom. But then she changed and she looked like what she did back then. All the brown, the burned part, it went away. And so he had found the crown and he was going to give it to her like that's what she always wanted. And it would stop her trying to destroy everybody because that's all she was. Initially, really, that's what all she was thinking about is getting this crown. And when he hands it to her, then somehow
she gets destroyed.
It went really fast.
That was the only thing I would say is that the ending of the first one was better than the ending of this one.
I didn't like the ending.
It was a little confusing to me. And then they did that rip-off thing with Nightmare on Elm Street, which... In Nightmare on Elm Street, the same thing happens where the daughter is getting in a car to go on a car ride to school with her friends, and then all of a sudden the car becomes a Freddy Krueger car, and Freddy Krueger is driving it, and so she's trapped in the car, and then there's something with the mom too, but it was the same type of thing in this movie where the characters, including Michael Ironside,
right.
They get in this car and they're trapped in the car. She has now possessed him and they drive off and it has the Mary Lou license plate. But regardless, this is a movie I would watch again. It's a movie that will go down as one of the best horror movies and especially one of the best horror movie sequels. I mean, it's funny too because in the last review I was saying, you know, I really liked about Prom Night 1 that it wasn't a supernatural thing and that the killer was human, he was vulnerable. But it's just because this movie did a good job. It executed their ideas really well. So that I didn't mind that the killer was supernatural and that it was like Nightmare on Elm Street because it was really, really good. I'd highly recommend this movie. I would say that watch this movie. Don't go see Joker 2. You watch this movie instead.
Movie and it's free.
And there's a better female villain too. You know, you think that you think Lady Gaga is something special? No. Mary Lou is much, much better. And you know something else that's funny, Safi? Mary Lou never gets naked in the movie.
No, not at all.
The final girl does.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Like, see, this movie was so much more progressive than Joker 2. It's not even funny. Right?
Yeah. I don't even know what to say about it. Like I said, it's a Circling the Drain movie. It's like, it's at the end of an era. They don't know what else to say. They don't want to say anything else.
Well, it's weird. It's like, it's a fucking Joker movie. Like, why don't you make a Joker movie?
I know.
And it's like, no, we don't want to.
I don't know what I have no idea what they were making.
Piece of shit.
Crappy. But
and theaters are actually reporting that there's some very unusual activity with this movie where
Like
people
what?
are canceling their tickets because of they're hearing the bad reviews in like large amounts. So like there's a lot of people who had tickets reserved, they're all canceling them.
Wow.
And I think, good. Watch this movie. It's on YouTube. This movie is on YouTube.
It's on Tubi, and it's on Amazon.
It's in HD, the British way of saying it, HD. Right, Safi?
I don't know.
It is. And it looks great. This is a great movie.
It does look really good. So it's really good. We both recommend it.
This movie would solve...
And it's only like an hour and a half long.
This movie would solve world hunger.
Oh, brother.
Oh, what's your food review, Safi? Speaking of hunger.
Well, I think...
Well, I think I'm going to give it the food I just ate.
No, I'll give it Marco's brownies. We just... we had never bought these brownies before. If we did, it would have been a million years ago. Now, they've changed it since we started buying them just recently, but you would get... what brand is it? Is it... Do you know Betty Crocker?
Safi, these are Betty Crocker brownies.
Okay, so they're Betty Crocker brownies, but they also had a packet of icing with them. So you make the brownies, and then you put the icing, after it cools, you put the icing on top, and they're just perfect.
Yeah,
they're always good.
It's called Supreme Icing.
But just recently, you couldn't get them, and I don't know if the store ran out.
Well,
I should have looked if there was a label on the shelf, like where there's nothing left. The label would still be there. I didn't look.
The weird thing is that I didn't tell Safi this, but in the box, they had this crappy little packet of chocolate syrup. It was it was like this big, and it was chocolate syrup, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And I just threw it in the trash. And so we had to buy Betty Crocker icing separately, and I felt like this is definitely, it could be a situation where they're just trying to squeeze more money out of you. It's similar to Steak and Shake, where I used to get chili dogs from Steak and Shake, but then they stopped selling chili dogs. You have to buy the chili separately from the hot dogs so that they're stealing more money from you. It's about making money.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is a similar situation or not.
But the thing is, it's not a big pan. What is it? Is it 8x8 or 6x6? Square pan.
I don't know.
And it's always the same. It's really good. You cook it at 350 for a certain amount of time. Take it out. You don't want to overcook it. Let it cool. Then you slather the icing on. And it's always good. And it's not a lot. And it's not 10 layers. It's not different types of cake or different types of brownies. It's one kind of brownie. And most people like chocolate. And you don't have to have a lot. And that's what this movie is. It's not very long. It has everything you want. And you could watch it again and you still get the same satisfaction. In fact, you might learn more about it seeing it at a different time that you didn't know before. And then you also might see comparisons with other movies, certain aspects of it, like Marco was talking about, that it reminded him of, and it reminded me, like of Alien, for example.
Carrie.
And Carrie too, because Vicky's mother was very religious, and she wore her, but not as bad as the Carrie one. Oh God! And she was married, and her husband was a very nice person, and but she wore her, like she buttoned her buttons all the way up to the neck. You know, she didn't even open the button at the top of the neck. She buttoned it all the way. And then to make herself look very, what would you call it, straight-laced and conservative.
Sort of like Safi.
No, not at all. And she also, she did this huge prayer at the dinner table.
Safi, why are you obsessed with this woman?
No, I'm just talking about you see comparisons of certain aspects of the movie with other movies that you are familiar with. And so, but it's not a huge thing. It's just, it's a really good movie. And I recommend it. And let's hear what Marco rated it.
Well,
turn it off. I told you. Okay.
There was this time in May, it was late May, and I had to get dinner out. It might have been because I had a dental appointment and I had to get something that was soft because I had these fillings done in the front teeth or something. I think that's what it was. Mm. So I decided to go to Cherry House Cafe, and it's funny because I didn't expect for their food to be good because I had heard bad things about it. You know, Safi's even making weird noises right now for some reason.
It's better than it was good at first, and then it went bad for a long time.
She hasn't even eaten their food now.
What are you talking about?
Did you eat food in May like me?
No, I went with Robert. We went one night.
When was that?
Oh, just
No, you said you went to Blue something diner or something time.
No, we went there.
No, you lied. You went to a Blue Diner place.
No, Marco.
Yeah,
not true.
Bluebird Diner or something.
No,
you went
Marco,
there. You did not go to Cherry House Cafe.
Yes,
That's a
did.
lie.
Yes,
That's a
did.
straight up lie.
No, it isn't.
That's a lie.
Ask Robert.
Ask your mother.
Mom's
so
dead.
I went to Cherry House Cafe, and I got spaghetti and meatballs, and I thought, this will probably just be some crap. It'll probably just be some mediocre crap, just diner food. But it was fantastic. They gave me garlic bread. They gave me Parmesan cheese. The meatballs were delicious, and I hate meatballs, too. I never liked meatballs. So I was shocked. I was like, how the hell is this as good as it is? It was perfect. Probably some of the best spaghetti I've ever had. I actually ate it a second night in a row. I ate the leftovers, ate the whole damn thing. So that's what this movie was. It was like an unexpected surprise. Yeah. I mean, people did say that it was good, and there was the person who requested the series, he said the second one and third one were the best ones.
Oh, really?
Ugh.
I think the first one was just kind of like an experimental thing.
Experiment?
Yeah, it was experimental. They had never done it before, but like I said, they have so much
Safi,
information and
what
pictures.
You took away from the first movie was that it was an experiment?
It wasn't as good as the second one, was it?
But Safi, the first movie was like a cookie cutter slasher movie to its core. Like, I mean, we even talked about, like, you have the final girl, and she's just this boring broad. Jamie Lee Curtis can't act, and you know.
I'm glad she wasn't in the movie. I was wondering.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering if she was going to be in the movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis didn't ruin this movie.
No.
Like she ruined the first one.
She didn't need to be in this. It was
we had a good final girl in this one, and she's a good actress, right, Safi?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else to say,
No,
Safi? Oh, there's one last thing. We tried Taco Bell. They came out with a Baja Blast gelato, which I was curious to try it, and you just get this tiny little container, this tiny little.
It's a pint.
Yeah, no,
like an ice, not pint. It's like
it's a sampler.
Yeah, and they have. It's kind of like at the grocery store. They have these really tiny little cups of ice cream, of I don't know, Breyers or Haagen-Dazs. They're really small, and it's like that. It's really small.
And we tried it, and it was okay. I would never get it again, but. It was okay. It was kind of refreshing.
It's real small and it's fun to try.
It's not as good as the actual Baja Blast either. It's just like kind of meh. I give it a C. I'm glad that Prom Night 2 wasn't like the Baja Blast Gelato. So, Safi?
Okay, well, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. And if you've ever seen the Prom Night series, or you've seen this one, or you haven't seen any of them, I recommend you, because I had never seen any of them either.
And tell Safi to stop doing reviews at midnight, because, I mean...
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Okay, good night, everybody.
Bye!